All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome. So today is all about substitution. And how the substitution is this is on systems of equations still. And what's going to happen with this substitution is we are going to be doing a lot of math today. Okay, so know, ladies and gentlemen, as we move forward with this lesson, that it is going to get complicated. Or it's not complicated, but there's a lot of steps involved. The essential question is here. Please make sure you print it on your notes. That should be in Canvas if you don't have them. Complete your 4 topics in Alex. Once again, if you have canned foods, please bring it by. And then homework is already up on Alex, so please make sure you do that. Here, ladies and gentlemen, is your bell work. We're going to do bell work by chapter now. Make it simpler. So what I want you guys to do is please do the bell work. All right, if you guys were to graph these out, hopefully you would be able to see kind of the setup here. So I don't actually have to graph this first one. If I were to subtract x from both sides, okay, I would have a negative x and a negative x. So this is going to be no solution because these are parallel lines. Today Tom has $100 in the savings and plans to put $25 in the account every week. So Tom is 100 and then he's 25 a week. And then Maria has nothing, but's going to put 50 in her account every week. All right, and then in how many weeks will I have the same amount? Well, ladies and gentlemen, just graph this, and whatever the solution set is, that will be your answer. What is the solution of this system? Please make sure you guys just graph this, and then go forward from there. I'm not going to give you the answer on that. You guys should be able to do it. Just make sure on the bell work, if you do that, that you would put these 2 equations on the bell work before you graph it, and then give me the answer. All right, so, oh look, I did it already, I forgot. 4, 200, and then this system was -1, -1. All right, so what we have, ladies and gentlemen, is we are going to start working on some substitution properties. Okay, substitution is where we are going to solve one equation with one of the variables, okay? And then we're gonna take that and we're gonna plug it into the other equation. And then as soon as we solve for one of the variables like x or y, we'll plug it into the original, and I'll show you exactly what we're talking about. So in the past, we have what we have done before, guys, when I'm teaching you something and I give you a coordinate point, like when we're testing whether or not a statement is true or false, we were putting in like a number like 0, 2, okay? And we would plug in the number, so 2 would go here, 0 would go here, and then that would be your setup. Okay, so for example, if I put a 12 here, if I put a 0 in for x and a 12 for y, does 12 equal 12? Yes, so that's an actual physical point on the line, okay? So it's a true statement. So it's kind of the same process where you take this and you would substitute that piece into this equation, okay? So we're gonna take this y equals, so it's the initial part of this is set up nice and easy for you guys, because what they're going to do is they're going to provide you all of the, a nice little clean setup. Now eventually we will rewrite these. So it's going to be 2x, and then it's plus -4x plus 12, and that equals 2. And then you just solve for x. So combine like terms, -2x plus 12 equals 2, subtract 12, and then you get -2x equals -10, divide by -2, and you get x equals 5, okay? So there's your initial answer. So now we have 1 point, but we need our y coordinate still. So if you need your y, what you do is you take your y equals -4, and then you plug in this 5 times 5 plus 12, and you do your math. So my coordinate point is 5, -8, okay? So there's our math, there's the setup, okay? Hopefully you guys understand how I did this math, okay? This is the math we've been doing for simple equations the entire, since the beginning of school almost. So just make sure you guys can do this, all right? This would be in case on a test if I do not give you access to Desmos, all right? And I ask you to please solve this on your own. The question is can you do it? All right, so what I want you to do now is go ahead and practice these 2 on your own. All right, I will do the work, so you don't necessarily have to pause the video on this one. So we'll do the work together. Or if you want to pause the video, and then I'll kind of explain after you guys do it. All right, so here's your setup. Here's your y equals. We're going to plug it into here. Y equals, plug it in here. Now, will you ever have an x equals? Yes, you will. Okay, we're just going with what's easiest first. Okay, the easiest way to do it. Next step, after you plug in the terms, would be to distribute, okay, accordingly. So this is 5x plus 12x, and then that is minus 18 equals negative 1. So I'm going to combine these two together. 17x, and then I'm going to add 18, so I'm going to kind of skip a couple steps here, put them together. So put that together, that's going to equal 17. So this is what I have left. Divide, divide, x equals 1. Okay? Now you plug a 1 back up in here. So you have y equals 4 times 1 minus 6. That's going to be y equals negative 2. So my point is 1, negative 2. Okay, on this one here, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you guys were able to work on it and try to figure it out yourself. If not, pause the video right now. 15 and 50 equals negative 1. Okay, put these together. 17x, subtract 50 from both sides. Okay, and you get negative 51, 17. So you divide this by 17, x equals negative, I think that's a 4. Let me make sure on that. Let me see here, calculator. 51 divided by 17. Oh, nope, it's a 3. All right, negative 3. Okay, so now I have my x. I plug it back into this original equation that's already set up for me, and it's going to be y equals 3 times negative 3 plus 10. That's negative 9. So y equals 1. So my formula here is 3, 1. Okay, there are my 2 points. Hopefully you guys understand how that works. Substitution. So this math is this whole lesson. Okay, it's just we're going to get a little bit more complicated as we go along. So the next one would be solving using substitution. You pick which one's the easiest that you don't have to do anything really to. All right, which one of these do you not have to do that much to? It would be this one. Okay, you don't have to do any type of dividing by 2 or dividing by 3 or 5 if you're to get it by itself. So now we're just going to add the 2y to both sides. Okay, so we get x equals 2y minus 3. Okay, there's our equation. Now, we can take this value and plug it in for the x here. Okay, so let's do that real quick. If you want to do it with me, you can, or watch me do it and then take your notes. It's up to you, whatever you prefer, whichever way you prefer to learn. Just make sure that you can do this math, okay? So, 6y minus 9, and then that's plus 5y equals 24. Solve, combine like terms, so 6 plus 5 is 11y. I'm going to add 9 to both sides, and that's going to equal, what is that, 5, 6, 33? Hey, divide by 11, y equals 3, okay? Y equals 3 on that one. So now you want to plug it back into the original equation, but don't plug it into this one. Plug it into your modification to make it easier. Okay, so if I plug a 3 back in there, it's going to be x equals 2 times 3 minus 3, which is 6 minus 3. Okay, there's your equation setup. So my point is 3, 3. Okay? Simple yet complicated all at the same time. Just make sure you guys know how to do it. All right, your turn. Rearrange by using the easiest one first. Okay, I will rearrange one, and I'll rearrange both, so you don't have to pause the video yet. You can watch me, but before I start doing the work, ladies and gentlemen, pause it so you know that you can do this on your own. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, if you have not paused the video, do now, or hopefully you guys have finished it out and you've gotten your answer. So we're going to plug this y coordinate into this value up here. So it's going to be 4x plus 5, 3x minus 13 equals 11. Okay, and then this value here is going to be 5 equals 7. Okay, so there's your setup. Now what I want you to do is go ahead and multiply it out. So let's do our distribution. And then 5 times 13 is, that's a 5 and that's a 1. I believe that's 65. Make sure. 13 times 5. Yep. Is negative 65 equals 11. And this one here, 15y minus 45 minus 2y equals 7. Now, what I'm going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is I'm going to stop at this point. Okay, you guys can do the math on this, and what I want you to do is to check your answer. So if you say to me, well, I don't know if I got the right answer or not. Okay, what I need you to do is go through the process, do the math. Okay, find your y, find your x. But then how to solve it, all right, is once you get your x and your y point, go into Desmos, graph these two equations. All right, when you graph those two equations, ladies and gentlemen, you'll get an intersection. That intersection is the answer. Okay, so that's how you double check your work. Now, if you messed up somewhere on this math and you can't get it, come see me in class to make sure you understand. But I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time doing this math because I'll fill up this whole board with numbers. When we can technically go into Desmos and answer this without doing substitution, but that's to double check your answer to make sure you got it. So do your work, okay? Combine like terms. So this would be like 13y. You'd add 45 to both sides, and I think that's 51 again or something like that. So 52. So we'll go ahead and do the math. Okay, when you finish the math on this, then ladies and gentlemen, that's when we would you would plug your value back into the original equation here, you solve it, you go from there. All right, substitution for solving, okay? Same setup, but now we're talking about no solution, infinite, or many. Okay, so here's what I want to make sure you guys do with this one. All right, is on this one, you would want to make sure that you can kind of, let's simplify this up real quick. So we have two values here. It doesn't matter which one we're going to do. I'll go negative x just because we're all used to y. Okay, negative x minus 2. Okay, here's my setup. Okay, so on your setup here, minus 2. Here's your setup, right? So now we're going to plug this value into this equation here. So my y value here, so it's going to be 2x plus 2. And then the y is negative x minus 2 equals 8. Okay, now what you're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is you're going to what? Combine like, so you're going to do the distribution, and then we'll combine like terms. So distribute first. So it's 2x, negative and a positive is going to be minus 2x, and then that's going to be minus 4. All right, now what happens here is 2x minus 2x what? These cancel out. So you're left with this little equation right here. And ladies and gentlemen, if they are not equal to each other, what type of solution do you think you have here? No solution at all, okay? So what kind of lines do you think these are? If I were to graph these lines out, I'm pretty sure, ladies and gentlemen, we would get a parallel lines. Okay, I'm not sure. Check my work and let me know if I'm wrong. But if I have a graph system of equations with no solution, then my assumption is that it is parallel lines. Okay, no solution on this one. Now, what happens if I were to go out and it would be 8 equals 8? Then you would get what? That would be 8 equals 8. What kind of lines do you think that would be? Those would actually be what? Parallel on top of each other. Or not parallel, they would be infinite because there'd be a line on top of a line graph. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, do the work on these two real quick. See where you go from there. All right, this one's given to you. All right, you have the y, and it's going to be 2x, and then it is minus 2x minus 3, okay, equals 8. Now do the distribution of the negative. So it's going to be 2x minus 2x plus 3. Negative and a negative is a positive, equals 8. These two cancel out. Does 3 equal 8? No, that's no solution. All right. This one over here is more complicated, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys were to do the math on this, so this has got our first kind of funky little setup. We're gonna let's go for y equals, okay, on this one here. So on this one we're gonna have plus 8x. So we're gonna simplify the bottom one first, okay? Then it's gonna be 6y equals 8x minus 2. There's your setup. Divide by 6. All right, you divide by 6, you get y equals. That's going to be 4 over 3x minus 1/3. All right, there's my setup. Now, is this a nice, easy equation that you can kind of plug in up here? No, it is not. Okay, now, I technically have the 3's and they would cancel it out and all that stuff, but we could do that math, or you could say to yourself, okay, this looks a little crazy. What happens if I change this one to y equals? So let's change this one up here to y equals real quick. So this is going to be negative 4x. All right, so negative 4x. So then we'll have negative 3y is going to be equal to negative 4x plus 1. All right, and then we are going to divide by negative 3. And if you do that, kind of see what's forming here. You get y equals, negative and negative is positive, minus 1/3. Ladies and gentlemen, bam, bam, same line, different original starting points, same line, so this is going to be infinite solutions. Okay? Other way to solve this would be is if you were to plug this number in here, you'd be multiplying everything by 3. So 3 times 4 over 3 is actually what? The 3's cancel out, you'd have 4x, and then be minus 1. And then you could look up here that it's a negative 3, so the distribution would be 4x minus 4x, they'd cancel out. And then if you have a negative and a negative, it'd be positive, so it'd be 1 equals 1. So technically it would work as well, okay, if you did that math. All right, so now we're talking about nature, okay? It's writing a system of equations, giving you yearly membership, single admission fee, all beautiful things. How many memberships were sold in a single admission? So we got to create an equation. Here's the equation given to us. So it's going to be x plus y equals 50. X plus equals this. Ladies and gentlemen, use substitution. Solve this out. I'm just kidding. Graph this, okay? Graph it to get the answer. Would I like you to be able to do substitution on this? Sure. But you're talking about decimals and other crazy things like that? Nah. Graph this bad boy, okay? Wherever the intersections are, if it's somewhere over here, wherever the point is, ladies and gentlemen, that is your answer. Go from there. The x would be what? Let x be the number of yearly memberships. So no, if I were to ask you the question, wherever your point is, that x would be the yearly, and then that y would be single, okay? So you would need to tell me that on the answer. Okay, on the test, but understand, plot this out, graph it, go from there. Last one, ladies and gentlemen, try to put these together, okay? All right, so let's talk about this one real quick, ladies and gentlemen. I made, if you see a weird cut in the video, it's because I made an error on the back end of this question. So I want to make sure I got it in. So we're going to have New York Yankees be X and Cincinnati Reds be Y. How about I change that color, shall we? Let's make it, since they are the Reds, let's make that red. Okay, these are the Reds. Okay, and then, ladies and gentlemen, what you're going to do is we're going to talk about this equation as being X plus Y, and it's going to be equal to 32. Now, from there is what that means is you have the two teams. Okay, and then the other part of the setup is going to be New York Yankees X, Cincinnati Reds Y. It's going to be X plus Y equals 32 to mean how many championships they had. And then the setup's going to be the Yankees had won, so the Yankees had won 5.4 times as many as the Reds, and then you solve. So what you want to do is you can plug in X for here. Okay, so if we know that we would go into here, you would have 5.4 Y plus Y equals 32. Okay, and then what you do, guys, is you would combine this, so it'd be 6.4 Y equals 32, divide by 6.4, and you would get the number Y equals 5. So if Cincinnati won 5, do your simple math, 32 minus 5, the Yankees have won 27. All right, so that's it for this lesson. Please make sure you guys, the one big key takeaway is that you get online to do your homework. Please don't forget through Alex. If you have any questions about substitution, ask me. But remember, substitution is great, but I want you guys to make sure you learn how to use Desmos and solve these easier. In the meantime, you guys have a great night, day, and I'll see you soon.